My name is Joseph. I've applied for the DearMoon mission. I'm adding this supplemental video until I find out whether I've been selected for the remote interview. I figure I'll share some of my thoughts. I want to teach Pilates in space. Not that I want to teach it, but I think it would serve people well to have a Pilates practice discipline that is used in zero gravity. NASA has spent hundreds of millions of dollars designing and building exercise equipment for use in zero gravity. That's fine. I'm not NASA. I'm not making any assumptions that I know what's best. But I have some feelings. The exercise equipment that they've built has been primarily to support the loss of muscle atrophication and the loss of muscle of bone density. That's all important. That's good. But again, it is about these discrete exercises for these very specific purposes. Pilates, on the other hand, is a movement modality. It is a discipline of learning how to move through space. We assume the space on Earth is within Earth's atmosphere and gravitational pull, but in space is also literally in space, in zero gravity. And my feeling is that the Pilates practice that we have taught on Earth for 75 years or so is probably uniquely useful in learning how to navigate zero gravity. The idea being that we make these connections, these neurological connections to these muscles, these stabilizing, these deep stabilizing muscles, so that we can use the strength of them to move our body, to move it better. What I tell my students on Earth is gravity is continually bearing down. When you're 16, 17, 18, the discs that separate the vertebrae are fat and juicy. As you get older, as gravity does its work, those discs get thinner and thinner. The vertebrae are closer and closer, and our range of motion becomes more limited. Not to mention nerves getting pinched, discs herniating, and our range of motion and quality of life is often compromised. That's the purpose on Earth, where there's gravity. Obviously, in zero gravity, we're not worried about the compression. What our focus, I think, becomes is using that same neurological connection, using that same strength that we've gained on Earth. We can use the torso almost like a gyroscopic centering. We can draw the strength from it, and we can move through space with it as an assistive device, kind of like the way they put a gyroscope in a ship, or the way the Segway navigates the path. We would do likewise. So that's my thinking. Now, I build and design Pilates equipment, and I've worked through the modifications that would make the equipment work in zero gravity, and they're not major. And the fact of the matter is that most Pilates equipment uses springs, and the function of springs are the same on Earth as they would be in zero gravity. There's a floor routine, a mat routine, that is also done in Pilates, and I believe with the wearing of a harness or a unitard with eyelets for gripping, with either constant tension springs attached, we can replicate this work also. And again, all of this in some way, we can probably fight some of that bone density loss. We can probably fight some muscle atrophy. But again, the primary focus is how do we move better in zero gravity? And I've researched and looked. I don't know if there's a lot of thought on that, but we have a unique opportunity. There'll be 8 or 10 people going on this voyage. I think if we were to start a Pilates practice before they go, and we could continue it in space, we could see if this theory works. And not to mention, as flights in space become longer and longer, and a greater range of people start to go on these voyages, an exercise routine, a alert discipline of movement is going to be of value. So that is what I would like to really try to explore. Now, the other aspect of this is I am a photographer also, and being able to photograph such a historic event is certainly something that I think I'm made for. I've been photographing since a child. I have learning disabilities, dyslexic, sensory issues, other things. Picking up the camera at a very young age, looking through it, that device has always felt organic in my hand, and I've spent a lifetime honing this ability. And again, it's not an opportunity to set up a tripod and photograph a sunset or photograph the mountain range, the landscape. It's going to be an opportunity to photograph the intimacies between people, and that's a very subtle thing to do. And I think that is extremely important to document of how these people manage this voyage. Now, at the same time, again, it's 8, 10, 12 people in a tin can launching off from Earth and circling the moon. The machine, the vehicle that is housing us and traveling through space is as much an aspect of this as each individual. And I have an affinity for machines and for design and the effort that it takes to build them. So being sensitive to that other personality, that other member of the team, the starship, I think is important. Lastly, is the idea that that's really been kind of caught in my thoughts. There's so much preparation leading up to this event, historic event, a world event. There will be people around the globe who will be monitoring, aware of this. They will be sending the Starship off, DearMoon mission, with their well wishes, with their prayers, not to mention all the efforts throughout all of history of all the individuals that have made this possible. So in some ways, you leave on this voyage as a private citizen, you come back a global citizen. You come back with a responsibility, and I would pray and trust a willingness to share all that you are with the people of this planet. And that is, that's a responsibility, and it's an important aspect because what you have experienced needs to be shared. Your revelations, your view and perspective needs to be shared with all of the Earth because it's a particular time in history that we are in right now. And that should not be limited. One's willingness to share shouldn't be kind of pulled in. It needs to be readily available. And so I think that is something to be mindful of. I would pray and trust that one of you good folk at DearMoon might come across this, and I pray for your consideration. Thank you.